for this comparison, we're gonna go over line cable lateral raises versus dumbbell lateral raises. So I'll start off just performing a demo of a dumbbell lateral raise. I think most people probably understand pretty, generally what these look like, but a couple of things to note here with the execution. So with these dumbbell laterals, you wanna make sure that you're staying in the scapular plane. So scapular plane typically is where your shoulder blades, your scapulae, are gonna be moving the most effectively and efficiently against your rib cage. So rather than going straight out like this for a dumbbell lateral raise, you wanna almost go at a slight forward angle. And I like to keep the dumbbells right on my thighs at the bottom rather than swinging them in, and perform them more like this in a safer pattern for my shoulders. And there are a couple things to note here with the dumbbell lateral raise that are different than the line cable lateral raise, but let's go ahead and knock out the cable lateral raise first. So for these, I'm gonna be doing them on a seated low row that has these dual cables. I generally will recommend people do them on a functional trainer though, something that is a little bit more conducive to setting up cables that go across from each other. But you'll note here, kind of has the same effect, and the effect that we're looking for is just the resistance from the cables that makes it different from the dumbbells. So here, just to kind of situate myself, get these done. I'm gonna kind of bottom it out with the range of motion here, but you can see how the movement is being performed. And obviously, for the untrained eye, it's gonna look very similar. So the patterns look similar. We're performing a lateral raise, we're training our delts. But a few things to note here. So with the dumbbells, we're gonna be working in a less optimal resistance curve. So what that means is that whenever we're using the dumbbells, as we bring them up and as our shoulders get weaker at the top of the movement, the load is actually heavier on our delts. So more force is being transferred into our delts at the top of the range of motion. It's not necessarily what we want. We kind of want our muscles and the force that they're experiencing to line up evenly, right? With cables, we don't necessarily have that same problem, and it's even more profound whenever we can do these on a functional trainer and we can have the cables crossing each other and make sure that that resistance is even throughout the entire range of motion. Another thing that you'll notice here too is obviously dumbbells are gravity. We're working against gravity. They're working a little bit more independent versus the cables. And that's gonna play into a couple of different things. So dumbbells a little bit harder on the shoulder joint, not as easy to modify in real time, not as easy to change the line of pull that you're going through, and also a lot harder to implement tempo. Just kind of how the dumbbells work. It's not really easy to pause at the top and feel the tension in your delts, not really easy to control the eccentric, but with cables, you can not only pause the top and control the eccentric, but you can change the line that your delts are actually pulling the lateral raise through. If you're feeling a little bit of cracking and popping in one line, you can change that a little bit, maybe a centimeter, and find one that is a little bit more conducive to your own shoulder anatomy. So, whereas I like the dumbbells for their functionality, the logistical aspect of being able to do them wherever in the gym, I think that for optimality and hypertrophy, and also probably longevity, cables are probably where most people need to spend their time for working volume. So dumbbells versus line cable laterals, most likely a little bit more favorable towards cables, but depending on what your goals are and what your specific situation is, both can be incredibly useful in a program.